All right, guys, so one of the big lifts that I love teaching my clients, I love training my clients, and I love doing myself, and for all these folks, myself included, no matter what sport you're training for, no matter what activity you're training for, or none at all, just something to do in the weight room. It's a great movement, and it's often, there's a misconception with the bench press that, maybe you don't do it because you think, oh, it's just a beach body lift, or it's just for pumping up your chest. It is very functional in the sense that it is great for your shoulder health and the mobility of your shoulders. It also teaches you how to engage your body as a whole, not just isolating your chest. When changing up the range of motion, you can target different things, so such as if you're going a limited short range of motion, with a pause, you can really target and isolate your triceps. A lot of benefits. For the sake of today's video, I'm not going to get super in depth as far as what warm-ups I do beforehand. Just think of anything that you're going to do, get some shoulder mobility in. So I like to use halos for warm-ups. But again, that's for another video. I'm not going to get too in depth as far as bar path. There's a pretty specific bar path you should be using if you are training specifically for the bench press, if you're a power lifter. But as far as just general use, let's go over the basics with the bench press. So the first things first, when we're talking bench press, we're referring to a barbell and not a dumbbell bench press. And dumbbells are used in other applications, such as if I want to increase and get greater shoulder mobility. But right now, I just want to be moving a little bit more weight and not focusing on isolating that single arm. So using my body as a whole, using the barbell. All right, so with my bench, I have it set up so once I lay on that bench, this bar is going to be kind of slightly over my shoulders. I'm not going super heavy here because I don't have a spotter. One tool you can use if you don't have a spotter and you want to go heavy is taking these clips off. I have the clips on there right now. You can take those off, so once you get to the bottom of the bench, if you get stuck, you just tip those plates over so you don't choke yourself out, which does happen. But ideally, I'd have a spotter. I can go a little bit heavier, and I'm going to have this bar right now lined up with, my neck right now. So that way, when I pull the bar away from the rack, I can have it lined up with my sternum. All right, so I'm going to get underneath that bar. The first thing that you want to do is to make sure, aside from that setup that I just talked about, is to make sure you have your feet underneath you. So you want to create a lot of tension in your quads, in your glutes, actually using your lower back. So a lot of times you get lazy, just let your feet lay out here, or you'll see people come up here with your feet on the bench. Not good, very unstable. We want to be able to actively use our lower body. So with my foot set up, I'm going to pull my feet underneath me. So if you guys can see, my foot is behind my knee, so close to underneath my glute. That way I'm using a lot of tension in my quads. Once I get set and drive my heels through the ground, I'm actively using my glutes. Your lower back's going to be slightly off the bench, and because of that, you're then going to create a lot of tension in your shoulders. So my shoulders, before I fully lay on the bench, I'm going to get some scapular contractions. So I'm going to grab the bar and pull up while driving my head into the bench. So from here, I can pull my shoulders back and contract my shoulder blades, my scapula. So now I'm really tense in my upper body. My lower body, I'm really tense here, pull my feet underneath, squeezing my butt. So now I got a lot of tension going on with my whole body. All right, so that's the setup before you start benching. All right, once you get that set up in place and dialed in, you're gonna look at your hands. So your hands set up on the bar. Typically, most people are gonna be pretty good with their pinky on that first knurl mark. That knurl is that smooth mark, smooth notch on the barbell. That first one in, that's what I'm going to use here with my pinky, or depending on your arm span, might be a little different. But we don't want to go too narrow. Start going narrow if you're using our triceps too much. Start going too wide. You're taking away some of the ability of your chest to help out with this movement. So somewhere in between narrow and wide. So whatever's comfortable for you. Like I said, I'm going pinky on that first knurl for my setup. All right, so now I'm pulling my feet underneath me, pick my chest up so I can pinch my shoulder blades back. I'm set there. If I had a spotter here, I'd give my spotter a 3, 2, 1 countdown to help me get the bar off the rack and then get stabilized so the bar is right over my sternum. All right, then from here, I'm gonna take a big deep breath, hold my breath in as I go down, barely tap my chest, exhale going up. As I'm going up, that first move at the bottom, drive your heels through the ground. So again, nice big deep breath. Heels go through the ground as I'm exhaling. So heels through the ground as I exhale. And if you have a client that has really short legs, as yourself, you're short and it's tough to create a lot of force through the ground with your feet, use something like a plate here as a little training wheel so they have a surface that can actually drive their feet through the ground and to create that tension through your lower body to help with this movement. So again, that's the bench press, the basic bench press. Again, not to get too in depth, a good starting point there. Again, like I was saying, there's other ways we can manipulate the bench press if we want to target other things, such as doing a half range of motion with the pause with a narrow grip to isolate your triceps. Going dumbbells to get more shoulder mobility going. But for now, bench press with the barbell, standard barbell bench press. Great movement when done right.